Gearbest have kindly sent me the JJRC X2G. It's a brushless quad, as you can see, and it comes under the guise of JJPRO. I think that identifies the fact that they've gone to sort of a pro level by having the brushless motors on it. Now, the motors are 2280 kV. And it's a smart looking quad, and the nice thing is it's fully assembled, so you can use this box for carrying it around. You don't have to keep putting the props on and off. I really like that. It's got a 1200 milliamp hour 2-cell battery, and it's got a JST connector, which is really nice. Comes in two flavours basically. You've got the full FPV, which is 5.8, or you get the with a camera obviously, or you get the one without a camera, and it's just the basic model basically, and that's the one I've got. So really simple to get into, and like I say, I really like these when they're packaged up, ready to transport. That's everything out of the box, and as you can see, the actual green on the quad itself is quite vicious in comparison to the green they show on the box. That's quite subdued. This is sort of Kawasaki green, I would say, and almost moving it on a little bit from there, so I quite like it. It's not a problem to me. The prop nuts, because it's a self-tightening system they've got on them, you have two clockwise tightening ones, which are the red ones, and then two counterclockwise ones which tighten the other way on the black one. So just to show you, if you need to change the props because you've damaged them, these will actually turn as if you're tightening normally, because it's a counterclockwise thread, and then to tighten it up you do it the other way round. Like I say, that's on the black, and on the red it goes, they're just a normal thread. Just nip them up. Unfortunately the screwdriver they provide isn't thin enough to actually go through the hole on the prop nuts, which is a bit of a shame really, so you've got to find a little Allen wrench or hex key or whatever to do it with, is what I do. You get a complete set of screws there, and you need the screws to pop on the landing gear. The landing gear screws in and out, not into a thread. It's basically a self-tapping screw that goes in and out of the actual bodywork. So eventually you'll wear that out if you fly a lot and you're taking it on and off all the time, like I would be. So the way I used to transport my Q500 around was just strap it to the back of my rucksack there with just a couple of little bungees around here, and I found it great even on the Q500, so this will be an absolute doddle. While I've got it up the other way, you've got prop guards there. If you're new to flying, I suggest you definitely put these on. They just simply pop on there, and they're going to work quite well, and then just a couple of screws in there to hold them in position. I'm not going to bother because I'm quite happy flying without them. The charger for the battery, and it's a 1200 milliamp 2-cell. It's exactly the same. There's a really common battery used on a lot of quads, so you can get loads of different manufacturers for them. You don't have to stick with JJRC, which is brilliant, and it's got a very simple JST connector on it. Simply plug that in to charge it, and that charges through the balanced charger port, and then you just use simple USB. It says it puts out 800 milliamp hour, and so that should charge in about an hour and a half, sort of max, but they give 2.5 hours on the paperwork, so I'll give that a test and see how long it takes, and put that in the end of the review. The battery itself pops in. It's quite a spacious battery bay area, which is rather good, and makes a change because a lot of them are so tight, they're ridiculous. This one actually, you've got quite a bit of room. I don't think there's another battery that would actually fit into it. I just simply connect up and then off you go. So there's quite a lot of room there, like I say, to get the wires all pushed in and then close it back up, no trouble whatsoever. The weight and everything I'll just pop down the bottom there of the quad. The only other thing you get there is the actual transmitter, toy grade transmitter, and I'll run through all the functions when we're out on a flight. You do also need 4 AA batteries in here. I can just pop it open, there we go, and you don't get supplied with those, so you do need to make sure you've got a set of those before you take delivery of your super quad. Onto the instruction manual, and it's in full colour, which is very nice, and that's about where it sort of sits well on what it does. It's all in Chinese and English, so you've got to pick through all the bits to get to what you want. It's not too difficult actually, but the information in here is a bit confusing. Here it tells you to turn on the quadcopter first of all, and then if I just jump further back, it tells you to turn on the transmitter first of all. So it tells you either way of doing it basically, but it doesn't tell you then how to calibrate it in this bit, and it does in that bit. it, so it's a bit all over the place. There's no sort of consistency running through it, I'm afraid. It would get you through things, but you'd have to sort of mingle through it, sort of thing. So I'm going to explain it all in the review, so you'll get all the info there. But the actual manual itself isn't particularly brilliant. All the call-outs are a bit confusing because of the Chinese and English, and the descriptions aren't, the translations aren't 100% either. But you'd understand it if you were new to it. Certainly runs through all the different functions, how to connect up the battery and everything. Like I say, how to calibrate it, which you have to do before takeoff actually every single time, and then the basics of flying basically to take you through, and and this idle speed thing it's got, which I don't really like, to be honest. I've had a go with it, and I'm not particularly impressed with it, because it puts the idle so high when you actually throttle off, it almost just sort of floats in the air, which I think it's supposed to do. It's almost like an altitude hold, but of course if you've got a strong wind, an uplift, it wouldn't actually descend, it would just keep going up, and then you've got to try and turn this idle speed down again. So not something I'm impressed with. So, but if you leave it down, like I will fly with it, it's quite easy to control, and it flies really nicely as well. And then on to what directions the prop goes in. That's very important, and also, like I was explaining before, with clockwise and counterclockwise threads. And then it's got all your spare parts and everything, and what they're called, and the identification of them. Quick run through the transmitter. We've got these two pots up here, or dials. They don't do anything at all. They're just fakes basically, or used on another transmitter. This one here starts the motors, puts them into idle, and stops them as well if you press it again. If you want it to drop out of the sky basically, or emergency stop, hold it down for 2 seconds and it will drop. This alters your speed rates, and it's got 3 speed settings. It's got low, which it always starts in. Press it once, it goes beep beep into intermediate. Press it again, it goes beep 3 times. You're up in high rates. Press it again and it's cyclical, so it just comes back around to low rates again. It's a mode 2 transmitter, so throttles on this side, and it's not altitude hold because you can see it's not centered. And then the yaw, which is basically the turn, is like that, so it's right and then left, and then pitch forward, pitch back, so the quad will literally pitch forward and back and right and left, and that's everything bar these trims. This one and this one are trims as per normal, and there's loads of YouTube videos on how to set trims. And this one here actually sets the idle speed of the motors. It could turn them up and down a bit. It starts in second mode basically, and it also gives you a little bit more top end power as well. I've never come across one like this. I'm not particularly going to be that impressed with it, I don't think, but we will see how we get on. So it doesn't seem to matter if you start up the quad first of all, or start up the transmitter. It always seems to bind. Gets high-pitched squeaks off the ESCs and everything, and then it all stops beeping. We turn it over, we've got the LEDs flashing away, and you always need to calibrate this quad. So this is a down and across, and then you get beep beep beep, and then it all stops, and then that stops the actual lights flashing, so they're now solid and it is ready to fly. So press to start the motors, and then you would adjust this sort of throttle trim here for tick over. That gives us a bit more throttle trim, and I don't like it really. It sort of gives us too much, because I shut the throttle right off and it hardly descends at all, so that's off. So it's really not doing much at all. So if you had strong winds, it would probably keep it up in the strong winds. So I'm not overly impressed with it as a function, to be honest. So let's just start the motors again. Oh, we've got a sticky one. That sometimes happens on ESCs. There we go. Had that on other quads as well. It's nothing unusual. If you don't take off in about 5 seconds, it kills the motors again. And you see that one started up fine this time, so you can see that's really going up, can't you? It really sort of gives it a lot of tick over, which I don't like that much. That's better. Actually, it still seems as though it's got quite a bit of tick over there. Yeah, you see, so that's me holding the throttle right off, and it's just really slow descent. So I'm now gonna, and you see it sort of drops the throttle back then.
but you've actually got, sorry, a more normal throttle. They still tick over. The actual motors still even throttle off. It doesn't drop from the sky, so there's no chance of manual flipping it. Well, there we go, and that's in low rate, so actually it's quite impressive. There's quite a bit of a breeze sort of coming out now. Range is pretty good. So that's low rates. Just catching in the wind. This has got quite a lot of bodywork on it, so it probably will catch in the wind. So that's low rate, that's intermediate, and that's high rates. Whoa! Oh, we like high rates, they're good. Oh yeah, high rates is pretty good. Yay, we like that a lot. Unfortunately, definitely not going to flip, so we can't sort of do any acro-y sort of stuff. I will give it a go. No, as soon as you kill the throttles, all it's going to do is just go into hover mode. Not hover, idle mode, sorry. So I know for a fact that that's 80, that's just on 100 meters there. Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. And this is coming in at full pass. Yeah, she flies really nicely. Nice and smooth. Lovely, actually. Yeah, look at that. She's really nice. As you'd expect, really. That wind's quite strong on my back now. It's not really having a lot of effect on it. And if you pitch it forward, it really does pitch forward. Let me just bring that in a bit closer so you can see it a lot easier. Lovely. But the throttle certainly covers on it well, so it's full throttle. Nice. And that's full throttle off. So like I say, it's never particularly... it won't drop out of the sky, that's for sure. Let's do a kick out. So just literally just going to give it full throttle. 3, 2, 1. Pretty good. And that's throttle off. You can see that wind just took it back that way. Hey, it's really nice and fun actually. I quite like this transmitter. It's got no headless mode, no flowering around, no app, nothing to play with. Just actually get out and have a bit of fun with your flying. We like that idea. It seems quite good. A little bit of downdraft there. Let's try this kill the motors one, which is a bit difficult because I've actually got that wind on me. Let's drop it down into low rates. So that's this one here that alters the rates. Whoa! So if something like that happens, which obviously I was doing it as a practical demonstration, basically I looked down at the transmitter to try and show you where the control buttons were. The motors will keep on ticking over unless you kill them, so you must hit this really quick, otherwise you're going to start burning your ESCs and everything. So what I was after was just trying that emergency stop, so we'll give that another quick go. So I mean, you get this with brushless, you can just get sticky motors that are sticky for a second and then they'll be fine. Next time it starts up it'll be a different one. Yeah. There we go, now they're all working. So I've had it on loads of different brushless quads. So let's just try this emergency stop thing. If I can keep it just above me. So literally just hold the button down. There we go, bonk. I was going to try and catch that, but I didn't. But fine, it's actually quite a robust little thing. It's quite nicely built, and it will take, the legs are a little bit wobbly, which is quite nice. When she comes into land, she will bounce if you do it too hard. Okay, just actually got a camera with me. It's a really beaten up, scratched old Firefly Q6. It's been through the walls quite a few times. 2 elastic bands, that's all I got with me actually. Strap it on, and it's actually held on really quite tight with this sort of expanded foam here. So I think we get probably a bit of jello in that, but it's not a full camera test. I can easily get rid of that by just using something a bit softer, but this just happened to be in my bag. So just going to give it a go, just to see what it flies like with a camera on it, with the extra weight. And there we go. Oh, I've got a bit of sunshine as well for the camera work. That's on 100 meters, I would say. I know where those trees are, and that's a good 100 meters there. Flying with the camera on is no problem at all. Absolutely no trouble. That's lovely. So that's in low rates, intermediate, and then high rates. Hey, that stops nicely. We do like, it's sort of got air brakes. Okay, so do a fast pass with the video, but I think all we're going to get is looking at the ground, to be honest. Yeah, definitely. So if you give it full pitch, the throttle hasn't got enough to, it tilts so far, the throttle hasn't got enough to stop it descending, basically. It can't pull it back up. So I'll try about 3/4 pitch, see how we get on. Perhaps I should have done these tests without the camera on, but never mind. So that's about 3/4. And that's, oh yeah, no. It's about half pitch, I would say. That's about half. Yeah, and the throttle can just about keep that going there. Hey. There we go, so there. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, it still doesn't descend particularly fast, I must admit. Nice. It's how we trim the heather in the Highlands. It's you get hired by the council to do it. It's quite amazing, really. Use your quad. There we go. This thing is quite a lot of fun, actually. Oh, come on, any flying's quite a lot of fun, to be fair. Yeah, the range is excellent on it. Really good for what it is. Yeah, drop it down into low rates and just have a little bit of a play with it gently, see whether we can video. I'm not expecting great things from the video, to be perfectly honest, because I haven't really played around with it. I just decided it when I came out, to be honest, and I haven't got the camera one, so that's fair enough. Try a little pirouette. Orbit. Yeah, not my finest work, I must admit. Oh, there we go. That's not too bad. Trying to speed it up a wee bit as well. That's always fun with an orbit. And love that flashing LED at the front just to tell me that the battery is low. So that's good. Oh yeah. Wait, that's better. Hey, whoa, the wind's swirling around in there. Did you see that almost barrel itself into there? We're going to just try and take that back. Whoa! That's not me altering the throttles or the pitch, that's just the wind catching it. Let's just see how much of a mess it can make. Whoa! Whee! Nice, just take everything off. That's how much wind we've got. That's quite a bit. That wind is... Oh, look at that go, poor thing.
So in conclusion, what do I think? Well, I really enjoyed it. It's really nice to fly. The 3 rates are really different. The low rate is not too too low actually, because sometimes they start so low they're ridiculous, but it's quite nice. Personally, I don't really like this throttle adjustment idle thing. I'd rather, you know, when you put it down, it actually killed the throttles, but that's not the way this one works, and that's fine. It's just the way it is. Perhaps if you're new to flying and you had it at a higher idle rate, you're not going to panic when it starts to drop out of the sky, but it's just my personal choice would be that. Transmitter worked really well. I got way over 100 meters with it, and they quote 350 to 500 meters with it. Now, I don't believe that's going to do that, and that seems a very wide area of call out. It's sort of 450, 500, not 350, 500. What the heck would you want to fly 500 meters away from? You wouldn't even see it. But I suppose if you had an FP system on there, perhaps it would be okay to use. I don't think it would really reach that far. And to me, 100 odd meters, absolutely fine. And I never even felt it that we were losing signal at all. It was really good. The transmitter is a toy grade transmitter, and but feels really comfortable in the hand. Not heavy to carry. The whole lot is not heavy to carry actually. So bung it on the back of your rucksack and you would hardly even know it was there, to be honest. The motors performed really well, and I had a few bashes with it actually, just with putting it through its paces. A little bit over heavy handed, I think, and it's whacked into things and it's absolutely fine. It just bounced off, no problem at all. Haven't even broken a prop on it, so really impressed with that. It has been a full test on it, sort of thing. The carrying the camera had no problem at all, and you can put even more weight on it. I don't think it would carry a gimbal and a camera, but you could certainly put a half decent camera on here and then sort of take out any jello or anything. That would be quite easy to do. So no, really enjoyed flying it. And it's just on £60 at the moment, or $80, or just a little bit more, you can get the one with the FPV system on. So no, I think it's quite good value for money.